Remember PlayStation's attempt at the handheld market? The PSP was pretty successful. Of course, not as successful as the DS, but still pretty impressive all things considered. Sony released their follow-up to the PSP, the PS Vita, in late 2011 in Japan. The Vita had an interesting launch, having a wide array of games at launch, including an Uncharted spin-off, Golden Abyss, Lil Deviant's The Best Game of All Time, Wipeout 2048, a second-bit F-Zero, Gravity Rush, a Hood classic, Lumens, a solid puzzle game, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, a solid port of one of the best fighting games ever made, Rayman Origins, yet another port, Dynasty Warriors Next, a Warriors game that definitely ran well and totally wasn't a buggy mess, Asphalt Injection, a racing game, and a now dead in the water racing game franchise. Most of these were either mediocre or generally considered to be some of the best games on the hardware. But there's one game that's been on the Vita since nearly the beginning, if not the beginning, that's hellishly underrated. That's right, I'm talking about the GOAT, Army Corps of Hell. Developed by Square Enix and released in Japan on December 17, 2011, in North America on February 22, 2012, Army Corps is possibly the most underrated launch title in the list. The game was developed and produced by a lot of the guys behind Pikmin 1 and 2. You can see it in the gameplay. You play as the now diminished and level 1 Crook King of Hell, and you assemble an army of goblins to reclaim Hell and maybe to take over Heaven. The game starts off relatively easy, easing you into how the game works and plays, introducing you to the first class of goblins, the soldiers. The soldiers are in circle formation and do not have a very far reach and launch rate. They get on the enemy, and after 20 plus are on an enemy, you can press circle to have them execute said enemy. You generally fight bosses every stage across 40 different stages. As the game progresses, you get more goblins in your army, and you unlock 2 more types of goblins. Spearmen, which are the opposite of soldiers. They rush and have crazy far reach and do not latch on to enemies for long, but are super powerful. And Magi, which are magic casting goblins that have fire magic and electric magic that can shoot magic from very far away, and they're very, very good for a lot of different things. Oh, and the spearmen are in like a triangle formation, and Magi in like square formation. The total number of goblins you can have throughout the entire game is 100. It seems like a lot, but it's absolutely small later in the game. The game is split up into 3 sections: Hell, which comprises 20 stages, Purgatory, which is 10 stages, and Tartarus, which is 10 stages as well. The story is told through these really cool and unique art pieces with subtitles, and it's pretty funny too, all things considered. The game sees the king recover Hell and then work his way up as he is not satisfied with what he's gotten. Eventually he takes on angels, and at the end of the game, a final piece reveals that he has his eyes set to the heavens. But that's the end of the game. Alright, now on to the actual gameplay at hand. So, I'll be honest. The reason why this video took so long to get out was in part because of the fact that this game is, well, boring at times. Yeah, it's cool looking at the game and conceptual as it is, it just gets boring. The stages are all the same, the enemy types, the weaknesses and strengths, the boss types, even the structure of the levels remain the same. The graphics are also a bit of an eyesore at times, even though the actual character and UI design, menu designs are epic, especially some of the bosses you fight, like the angels and the dragons and the serpent ladies. At first, for admittedly the first half of the game, I was not having fun. It felt like a chore to push through stages, even if the core gameplay is actually pretty fun and there's adrenaline pumping metal tracks in the background. By the way, side tangent, the OST for this game goes hard, and funny thing, I went out of my way to buy an album that featured 2 songs from it in this game that's not on streaming, only to find out that the song that I truly bought the album for wasn't even on the album I bought. Anyway, that all changed once I was in the Purgatory section. The stages all of a sudden changed and were much harder, forcing me to strategize and be more careful and a lot less dumb about what I did. And let me tell you, this game is absolutely cruel and unforgiving post-Hell section. The game throws you into multiple boss fights at once, especially a little late in the game where you have to fight 4 bosses at once. It's crazy, man. It wasn't hard, but by that time, because I was seasoned enough to know what was coming, it was still crazy. It has a ton of stages where you're forced to sacrifice and kill your goblins to move forward. You're enclosed by electric fencing that pretty much kills your troop immediately at times. Barrage and wave after after wave of enemies at times. The game even trolls you and deceives you at times. There are keys that you have to use to unlock bridges to move forward in certain sections, and they're normally not a boss area. But late game, some of them are bosses, and sometimes the switches that you have to push to progress would just make the area worse and make it even harder to beat in progress. The average stage length took me about 10 to 15 minutes in the first half of the game. It doubled in the second half to an average of 20 to 30 minutes a stage. Even a couple almost reaching 40 minutes. That's a lot of time. That's why it took me so long to beat this game. I was lacking patience. I don't normally play games that take patience outside a handful of games, but this is one of them. This game has taught me that patience is a virtue and stuff like this in general. Besides being a Pikmin clone, this game was also shockingly similar to Dark Souls. Patience is needed. A lot of boss fights were fumbled and lost because of my incompetence. By the way, did I mention how cruel this game could be? If by any chance you die, and trust me, I died a lot, you have to restart the entire level over again. Keep in mind that this is in the late section. There's like 30 and 40 minute stages. That's a lot of time. Now the Dark Souls comparison makes more sense, right? And trust me when I say it, the levels I died on were absolutely insane and rough. And the funniest thing is that it's all because of simple mistakes or skill issues. Although at times the game lagged like crazy and ate my inputs, or I was moving too slow because of how much color and stuff was on the screen, and I died a couple of times before it. Skill issue nonetheless. Anyway, the rupees that you collect later on legitimately became way more important. Same with the garbs you wear and the weapons and garbs your goblins wear and use. If I didn't craft new weapons and garbs, I wouldn't have made it anywhere. Same with the garbs you get for completing levels. The life force increase legit helps so much it's not even funny. I would have loved to have tried the multiplayer, but I don't have any friends. Yeah, the multiplayer legitimately looked fun. It looked like it was needed for some of these stages where you'd be fighting 5 different bosses. Overall, I really appreciate the game. It's taught me I need to be more patient in games, and also has made me appreciate fast-paced games even more than I already did. I'm giving this a 7 out of 10. It's got a lot of things I like, but a lot of things that did not stick very well. Square Enix, please give us a remaster of this hidden gem or sequel. That'd be epic. Before I go, we gotta talk about the advertising for this game. It's so goofy and so good. Like, why did a game called Army Corps of Hell need advertisements like this? But if it doesn't work and fit the game. Anyway, I'm traveling to Hell, Michigan now. I'm off to Hell. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.